Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher with another question. And sometimes we just simply have to be challenged with questions in life because isn't it a journey that we should all be on in this vast world of consciousness? I would hope consciousness and not just simply people walking around as if they're zombified, if you will, not knowing what direction they're heading in life or in the world. And with that said, here's my question. Now, there's going to be an umbrella of questions surrounding the main question. So just bear with me for a moment. By show of hands, those of you that are watching me, how many of you have gone to public school? I was one. By show of hands, how many of you have gone to a parochial, Catholic, or some religious school, or even private school? Raise your hand. Now, if you've gone to junior high school and high school, graduated or not, if you have attended junior high school and high school, raise your hand. Now, we'll just stop at the high school level. How many of you have learned something from those school systems that has benefited your life and that has helped you in life and through life, even up until the present? Now, how many of you could have learned the same things that you benefited from those school institutions or educational institutions? You could have learned from home, from your parents, from your mother, your father, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, if those are the people who raised you, or whoever it was that raised you. Could you have learned the things that you learned in those schools from them? Raise your hand. What are some of the things that you have taken, been assigned in school in terms of curriculum, academia, if you will, that you found that you never used, that was useless, that you never had to actually apply in your life, either socially, in your home, privately, or even on a job? Raise your hand. If there are some things that you didn't need or you found that you never used in your life at all, raise your hand. Raise your hand. So, my whole point in this video is to ask this question. Why is it? And you can answer it for yourself. I don't know what your situation was, is, or has been, but why is it that we allow other people, hear me clearly, why is it that we who have children allow other people to teach our children the very things that we can teach them ourselves? Can you teach your child basic math? Can you teach your child, or could you have taught your child, if your children are grown now, could you have taught your child how to read and how to write? I would venture to say in most instances, note that I said most, in the vast majority of instances, we could have done that. So why didn't we? Was it simply a matter of convenience? Was it a matter of it's the way things have always been done in our society? When we have babies, we nurture them, up until about 4 or 5 years, and then we put them into a class called kindergarten. Then it's first grade, and they move on up the ladder. Who taught us this? Why were we taught this? And why do we accept it? And why did we not teach our children those basic rudiments to life ourselves? And I just alluded to one, which was convenience. Are you too busy to homeschool your own children? Are you too busy to teach your children the basics of living? Do we need an institution of so-called education? Note that I didn't mention college. I'm talking about grade school all the way up into the 12th grade. Do we need to have other individuals that are strangers to us that we don't know, even though you may have had great relationships with these teachers, instructors, principals, and staff members throughout your child's life? Notwithstanding. But did we have to have this as part of our child's life, as opposed to us taking up the task to teach and educate our own children? Now, as far as specialized training and teaching, that's entirely a different subject. I'm talking about how to read, how to write, math, basic math. Do you need calculus, trigonometry, new math? Will you ever use that? Have you ever used that yourself? Then why is the school providing that as a part of their curriculum? I've never used that. None of it. There's a lot of subjects that I took in school that I don't apply today. Now, I will say this. I took home economics. We sold some clothing. I learned some fundamentals about sewing. I learned some fundamentals and basics about cooking. But you know what? I'm from the South. I learned those things 10 times more from my mother, my grandparents, and my older aunts how to cook. As a matter of fact, I cook better than most women that I have known. I didn't learn that from school. Do you get what I'm saying? What I'm touting here is independence. Learning how to be your own person. Learning how to keep it in the family. Learning how to accept the fact that your children are yours. Your children should learn the majority of life's lessons from you, from us. They should. Do you teach your children about ethics, morality, right and wrong? Or do they need a school system to teach them this? Do you teach your children about how to be self-sustaining, independent, an entrepreneur, building and creating their own company or business? The schools definitely have never done that. The schools have groomed us, they've groomed our children and continue to groom our children to work for someone else. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's the whole construct of the educational system, is to teach us how to work for multi-billion-dollar industries and continue that cash flow into their lineage, their family businesses. But they've never taught us how to be independent. They've never taught us how to own our own business. Think about this. If a teacher, instructor in school was able to teach you and I as children and our children present day how to be an entrepreneur, then why are they not? Why are they working in the educational system as opposed to being an independent businessman or woman? Could it possibly be because they were never taught that? Could it possibly be that they don't know how to, and that they are even afraid to take the first step? We are more free than what we believe. Intellectually, we can say we are, but it really doesn't matter until we actually start applying it. Applied knowledge is king. What you know is not important. What you know and apply trumps everything. So, with this, I want you to consider and maybe even reconsider to teach your children as much as you possibly can. Even though it might be burdensome or seem that way because you've been spoiled with these educational systems, these institutions. But sometimes we have to dig way deep down inside and humble ourselves and just do the thing that's in the best interest of our children and not simply the thing that makes us feel comfortable. Because when you're raising up another mind, when you're fashioning another human being, it's the greatest job that you will ever have, being a parent. That's it, and that's all. Are you going to teach your children now? Brother Teacher out.